Welcome to the Artistry podcast, a podcast where we discuss artistry. I am Sev.
And I'm Jay. And, it is 2022.
It's reflection time. And as usual, you'll find detailed information in the description down below.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of things have happened to a lot of people, or maybe nothing happened at all because you were home and you were listening to our podcast, which you should be doing, which is great. But in any case, we'll just take a step back, see what's been going on, and talk about that today. So not so much focused on creativity.
Yeah, this is more like a year in review sort of thing, where we look back to the glorious year of 2021, the year that was full of promises after the fateful 2020 COVID crisis. Yeah, we're just gonna marinate on that topic for a little bit. We're gonna not exactly talk about artistry. We're probably just gonna talk about the podcast in general. We're gonna be talking about a little bit of our personal lives, how it went, and then if we have some time, we're gonna delve into what entertained us during this year.
Oh yeah, the good old rants. Yeah, let's see if we get to those rants and not get distracted by others. As usual.
I did like that education podcast, by the way. That episode was kind of cool.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. All right, so podcast in review. So I guess just we have talked about how we plan to do this and what we wanted to do a few times already, but let's just see what we have done, I guess, from the goals we had, and I think I'm pretty happy. We are. We didn't. I think we didn't fail our goals. Perhaps there were a time where we stopped recording, which was fine, but we're still here. We're still doing it, and at least initially, I believe the goal was just to be able to do at least like one episode a month, and we just stopped for a while. But other than that, we were able to do that, to achieve that goal. And I'm pretty glad about that, and I think it turned out well. And I think slowly we're growing a little bit. My goal is still to have our YouTube channel to have more subscribers than my personal account that has been dead for like 3 years. So we haven't reached that yet. No, but
I have been getting feedback off of the podcast, and it seems like the quality that we're putting out checks out. You know, the people are listening, people are enjoying it. I've had obviously friends, just not strangers, but just friends, just reach out to me, and people I haven't talked to in years, saying, "Oh, you did this? I heard it. It was really cool. Me and my girlfriend now follow it religiously. I think it's very nice." And that sort of feedback is obviously heartwarming. Ideally, I wanted to hear the same thing from strangers. Like, I think that the goal for next year is to have that feedback come from people we don't know, people leaving comments. I really want to emphasize on people leaving comments, and well, maybe that will be for 2022. But besides that, what we did this year, it's very chill. Our podcast release dates are somewhat, flexible. We don't release consistently enough to have a huge following, but I like to think that what we do is we release episodes that we feel comfortable with and good topics that are interesting to delve into. So yeah, I'm also very proud of this little work that you've been doing.
Well, me on the technical side, but yeah, it's still a team effort, and I know how things work. And I mean, when I was younger, I think I wouldn't be able to do this, but now I am. I understand people have different roles and have different ideas, as long as we agree, because we talked about it extensively, how this would go, so I'm okay with it. If we hadn't talked about it, like, "Oh, remember, you're not doing anything," but it's not even true. It's not that you're not doing anything. You're the artistic side of the Artistry podcast. You get the the pretty things around it,
but
logos and then stuff.
I would say you going through the editing process of each episode, you probably learned a lot of what it is to, well, bringing back to the topic of artistry, you learned a lot about artistry. You learned a lot about of letting go of perfection and fixating on the final product more so than I'm fixating on a product that is good enough, which is a lesson from the very first episode, I think.
Oh yeah, the good enough part is actually very hard to accept, I suppose.
Of course, yeah.
I do like to be for things to be in a certain way. Perhaps a little bit of a perfectionist, and only most recently have I guess just good enough is okay. Before I spend a lot of time, but I will say I do miss making the teasers. In a way, they by far took the longest time to edit. But they were the most interesting because I actually felt like I did something creative and changed a little bit of what we had recorded.
Not just the grunt work of fixing levels and cutting out weird sounds.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, it seemed that people were confused about it, and it didn't really help, didn't bring much to it. So, you gotta let certain things go. But who knows? Maybe in the future it will be relevant again. And yeah, it was interesting. I like that. That was fun. It was like the few moments that I was editing and like the music that I put down with the talking. Like, it meshes so well. And like, I'm so happy, which is a strange experience because I'm not much in the creative world, so to speak, of making things. So it was fun.
I've made a few works on video editing and a bit of animation. And I have to say that there's a lot of joy in just making things click together when you mix sound with animation, or like if you hit the right timings, it feels good to do that. I know what you mean, but it's so time consuming, and it's fun that you say that you learn to let go of it, because that's kind of the purpose of the first episode, I suppose. Or we're talking about a lot of people are very precious with their art and very precious with the idea of perfectionism. They want to put out a product that they are proud of, that people that the girls would fan their faces. Oh gosh, oh boy, he made that. Oh, what a marvelous man for creating such a beautiful thing. And truth in reality is all it takes is for you to do enough, and let the product speak for itself, for good or for ill, And you going through that journey in a year, it's kind of invigorating, where you finally you realize, I don't have enough time to go through all the little sounds of an hour-long podcast. I'm going to fix the levels and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to trust the process of what we made. And for example, the last episode, the financial success one, you just basically fix the levels, there, it's done out, and you fix a few spikes in volume and you just put it out, and it's fine. It's a perfectly good episode. The only thing I'm going to say is that my voice is a bit low, but fuck it. I mean, it's okay. It's good. It is good. It's good enough.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember which one I kind of did the express editing. I don't know if that was the financial success or the education, but maybe both. I don't even know anymore. But anyway, yeah, that was. It's also a bit of a callback to. I always forget his name. Is it John Cleese?
John Cleese.
Yeah. As you said, you can be more creative but less productive.
Yeah.
So that kind of crap as well, which kind of ties into it. It also reminds me a little bit. Here I go on a rant already.
Yeah,
of I don't know if we spoke about this before when we talked about games and stuff. The game, is it Braid? Like an indie developer who made it all by himself. Does this ring any bells? No.
Not really. Braid. I'm searching. There's a Braid video game, artwork created by David Hellman.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's like it's sort of a platformer sort of game, and there is a documentary about several people making independent games and their struggles and such, and he's one of them. And he talks about this game and how much of himself personally, how much he put into it, how much emotional investment he had.
Jonathan Blow is his name.
Yeah, and he was very happy with how people reacted, but and that they enjoyed the game. But he was sad. He almost got depressed that people just didn't get it, what he was trying to do. So all this talk about just getting it good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, because some people or a lot of people don't think the same way you do, and
For sure.
all the time they spent on a game, of course they will not be able to relate to that because they don't spend as much time, and it's a different experience playing a game and making it as it is recording a podcast and listening to it.
Yeah.
So
there's more about to talk about on that topic, but I'm going to leave it for later because I want to finish this. I want to bring it back to our podcast in specific. Like, do you want to speak about what we have planned for 2022?
Oh, I just want to briefly mention as well that I'm also in the past. I'm very happy that we had what was it, 2 guests? Oh, yeah. I think that went fine.
Sure. And I'd like to get more.
And I hope, I hope to have some more. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll get what's her name? What's that singer's name? Not very famous one. What's her name?
Billie Eilish.
No, not that one. She came to live to Portugal. A woman from UK, Madonna. There you go.
Oh yeah, that one.
She's in Portugal now, retired. Poor woman. She's probably bored out of her mind. So
Jesus Christ, if there's someone who'd talk our ears off about artistry, it would be Madonna. Jeez.
I'm sure. I don't know her. I don't know. Maybe she's a snob. Who knows? Because she's. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we'd like to get some more guests. So far, it has been friends, which is great, which is fun. No. We have more friends. More people can come join. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I wanted to mention. Just
reach out to us.
Sorry?
I said reach out for us. No, that's wrong. That's the wrong. Reach out to us.
Yeah. And you mentioned let's see what we'll do in the future. You want to start with those thoughts?
I mean, we had the intentions of doing more than just podcasts, or to shorten podcast, like specific topics, specific rants, remove them from the podcast and put them in like in individual videos for people to consume, to see if we can get our numbers up. Tell us if that's the sort of thing you'd be interested in. We'd also kind of had these ideas of having like writing challenges during, like, make a video about a writing challenge, and we had an idea about a contest. But you want to go on with that one, Jay?
Yeah, well, these things are kind of iffy because the issue is actually getting people to engage. I mean, on our end, I think it would be fairly straightforward from what we've spoken. But yeah, the idea was, for example, just get a topic, or my idea was to get a small bit of text from, for example, Sev's book, and it's a way to promote his book as well. And just based on that text, make a doodle, a drawing, or whatever, and then there is a contest, and we'd probably provide some symbolic prize. Because in the beginning, we're not actually making any money. We cannot support large productions, but we would like to in the future. And then maybe the featured art would be used in the future for other contests, or perhaps even Sev's works. I don't know. He'd like to include people's works in his creative world, right? As I understand, you can explain that better.
Yeah. I love fan art. I just seen it in general, and for the ideal scenario is for me to remove the art I make for the book and have someone else include theirs. So if I find someone whose vision aligns with mine, that would be spectacular. And the idea of creating a contest for people to put in fan art, or just to put art in general, and have us discuss it, have fun with it, and if possible, give it like a symbolic, like you said, compensation, like monetary value. Like, it's not going to be a bajillion, but hopefully it's enough to pay for your, for your efforts and to value your efforts.
Or just a tea. I don't know, just maybe a tea or a coffee. Well, I mean, something symbolic again. Again, it's symbolic. Yeah. It's but with a goal to
grow.
Something more in the future, yeah. Not just because, again, in the beginning, we're doing this all for fun. There is no return, monetary or otherwise. So it's just for our own personal pleasure and fun. And who knows? We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'd like to do some other contests, like, I don't know, maybe a writing contest and stuff like that. We'd just like to get more people involved, and not just us talking to each other and then, imagining that people enjoy it, because that's what it is now.
That's the idea why we also want to make shorter form content for YouTube and for videos, so people that can consume it better, consume it quicker, have like there's a lot of good conversations in the middle of the podcast that I feel like people don't reach. And by putting these videos out there, I feel like we can probably get a bigger reach for what we're trying to do, bigger outreach.
Yes. More consumerism. Yes, consume our podcast. Don't stay at home and do nothing. Consume our podcast. That's one of the best things you can do.
Actually, we're still in COVID. Please stay home.
Yes, so listen to our podcast. Exactly. And I did want to say something that just left my mind. But I guess maybe we'll just move on to other stuff. So that's pretty much what we wanted to say about the podcast, what has happened so far a little bit, and what we plan in the future. I got it back. Yeah, we want to engage in other platforms as well.
Yes.
See how that goes. Like, what I don't know what the young people use today. What is it? Instagram,
MySpace,
and, TikTok, MySpace. Didn't that die? MySpace.
Oh, what?
I don't know. Is it? I have no idea.
It did die.
You actually tricked me. I thought you were serious for a moment. I thought you were serious for a moment. Because I'm not very familiar with MySpace. I never use it. That's why I just.
No one did. That's why it died.
Oh, okay. There we go. I just remember the times of High Five. Did you use High Five?
God, dude. What,
yeah, we're old.
Geez, that was it like? That was back in the 2000s. Jesus.
Was that like in the 15th century? I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. I think Mozart had
something like that.
Killer profile.
Yeah, somewhere in the Dark Ages. Yeah, but anyway, that's pretty much about the podcast, and I guess we'll talk a bit about what happened to us during COVID, or how it went for us during this time.
First, very personal question: have you had COVID?
Not as far as I know.
Neither have I.
Got a cold like 1 or 2 weeks ago, which I'm assuming is a cold because, I don't think I had any COVID symptoms. I barely had any cough. No loss of taste or smell, so I don't think it was. But who knows? Maybe I could have.
True.
But as far as I know, no. And actually, just a quick note on that. This all isolation thing actually meant that I did not get sick with anything. Because apparently being isolated means you cannot be contaminated with other people's germs. And yuck.
That's pretty cool. Same. I spent a whole year just fine. I almost have this... the FOMO thing, fear of missing out. And oh man, everyone's having a blast getting COVID and going to the hospital and nearly dying. And here I am at home like a sucker. But the hardest thing the biggest sickness in this house was my cat, who a couple of days ago just kept sneezing. And I was a bit worried for him. Like he just did like 20 sneezes in a row in a very cute way of and it was absolutely adorable. And then I felt a little bit worried for him because he wouldn't stop, but now he's fine. And that is the height of my COVID.
Oh, poor kitty. I can relate to his allergies. So that's a bitch.
Shout out to Taz.
I know that. Yeah. So anything besides not getting sick? Anything?
Oh, sure.
Interesting about?
I have no idea. It's been so long since our last recording. I have no idea if I mentioned this in any other episode. But I am intending to stop being independent, to quit being an independent writer, and I'm desperately trying to get an agent so that I can promote my books through worldwide publishers. So, in an effort to do this, I've spent the last 7 months. Writing a story completely unrelated to the Crystal Saga. I wanted to create this book completely, just one book. It doesn't have sequels, it doesn't have follow-ups, it's not a saga. It's just a contained, closed book of horror, and it has this horror fantasy sort of thing. And I want to put a lot of emotion into it. I want to put a lot of Jesus, my cat just popped out of nowhere. I wanted to put a lot of heart, emotion, a lot of horror into it, a lot of psychological things into it, and I wanted this book to serve kind of as a sample of what I am capable of writing. Then I'm going to print that books similarly to how I printed the Crystal Saga, and I'm going to send both of those books to all fucking agents in a 50 country radius around me.
So when you say both books, it's the first part of Crystal Saga and the new book.
Yeah, the first chapter of Crystal. No, not the first chapter. The first Crystal Saga book, and yes, the new one I'm writing, which is going to be called, so far, unless I change it, it's going to be called The Curse of Yana.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, like those things can change very quickly, but there you go, The Curse. So maybe, or maybe not.
Maybe not. Who knows? But probably so far, yes. It's a title I like, and it searches well on the internet, so therefore it's probably good.
Yeah, we have been trying to use a little bit of that to have more clickbaity titles and such, because some people do get exposed to our podcast through I don't know what you call it, but like YouTube discovery and recommendation and stuff. So we try to be a little bit more clickbaity. But then again, it's hard to get someone to listen to you for 1 hour if they don't know anything about this. So, and also, I am a little proud, just I guess going back and forth. But when we started, we did not show up on the first page of Google, and now we do.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That is also. Sorry to burst your bubble, but sometimes that is just because Google remembers your searches.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if the reason we appear on the first page of Google is because I searched it 10 times, I mean, that's good enough. Because
I'm saying it probably only happens to you, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm disappointed. That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Can you search it?
No, but the thing is, I will also have top search.
Of course. Well, anyway, I didn't realize that Google does the bubble thing as well. Okay, never mind then. Well, that's what it is.
Fun fact about the naming thing. The book I wrote, Children of War, originally was called The Children of Namur. But because people don't know what a Namur is, I changed it to Children of War.
There you go. Yeah, gotta have those algorithms tricked to make it work for us. On my side, on my end, I guess personal life. Well, I'm very happy that I got a small group together to play board games.
Dude, I'm so fucking jealous of that shit. God, I wish we lived in the same city. I'd be all over that shit.
Yeah, so it's been happening like once a week. Well, sometimes it misses, but yeah, generally once a week, and it's been one friend who also plays a lot of board games, and he backs up quite a few projects on Kickstarter, so he has some games and he doesn't always get to play them, so that's nice, and also good to try out some fancier games, so to speak. I mean, just when I say fancier, so it was like Nemesis and Etherfields. He really likes what do you call it? Not a designer, but a publisher, I guess, called Awakened Realms. If you're into board games,
cool.
He really likes them, and so yeah,
it
was nice to try.
What are the names of those? I want to search.
Oh, the game. One is called Nemesis, and the other game is called Etherfields. And that one we didn't really play that much because it's campaign. I don't know if it's legacy, but it's campaign mode, and that requires a bit more of a commitment, which might be possible in the future. But he didn't want to do it because he also said when he bought the game.
Games.
Yeah, but he did say in the beginning that he bought that game with a goal to play with a specific group of friends, and he hasn't, so I don't know, maybe he's just still kind of digesting that he won't play with them. I don't know. And he does have a group here, but we'll see how it goes. He said, yeah, maybe I'll do it later. And but yeah, we're playing a few games, and for a long time I didn't want to buy any new games because I barely played them, but I actually dished out some money and bought some games. And also I've been having a good experience buying used games through Board Game Geek. So the games came in very good state. They're reasonably priced, sometimes cheaper, sometimes about the same because of delivery costs. One example, I did buy a game that Sev has had the experience to play. And,
fun game.
Yeah, so because someone was from Porto, and that was just, why don't you just take it for a spin for a bit. And yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot. I'm just looking at my shelf, I guess, what I do have. I mean, originally I just bought, no, not that much. Originally I just bought Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, and I had a group to play, but it's always so hard to have the same set of players to keep playing. So that kind of stopped midway. And there was like, I don't know, twice people changed, different players. And then I bought Cry Havoc, which is an interesting game. It's fairly complex, so I don't take it out often. It's not for everyone. It's quite heavy mechanics wise. Then I bought some simpler games. I bought Magic Maze, which is a fun, quick game, which is very different from your usual games if you haven't played a lot of them.
Yeah, recently I bought Obscurio. God damn, my cats are going crazy. I bought Obscurio recently, which is also kind of a fun, quick game for a group of people that you don't even need to know English or Portuguese or whatever. So it's really good for mixed for people who don't speak well a certain language. It's amazing.
Oh, it looks like another Escape. It's funny you mentioned Obscuria because Magic Maze is also Escape. Yeah. Cooperative Escape. Yeah, I bought Aquatica, Kanagawa, Beyond Baker Street, and
God
Bargain
damn,
Quest.
Jesus, you can open a shop with all that.
Oh, well, funny you mentioned that because that would be one of the things I would like to have as actually a board game shop. But yeah, that's another in another few years, or maybe another pandemic. After another pandemic, maybe that'll happen. But yeah, that's mostly what's been happening on my end, on the personal life. Because other than that, I haven't had much interaction, and I guess I went to sort of a party and got a cold. So there we go, a birthday party.
Your first interaction with other people, you got a cold.
It wasn't the first, but it was the first with a lot of people. That's like maybe frowned upon during this COVID time. And yeah, but cold is okay, right?
Yeah.
We can live with a cold.
Cold.
It's not COVID.
Yeah, it's like COVID from Ping Dos. It's an off-brand It's an off-brand cold. Fuck it. I ruined my own joke. Coal is like an off-brand COVID.
Okay, that's like a reference to Pink Dos having their own brands, which are copies of other products.
Exactly, it's called an off-brand product.
We'll try that joke again in a few podcasts.
See how it picks up, how it's evolving.
Yeah, how it ages.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but other than that, hasn't been much happening in my personal life. I made my own desktop, which is because I was gonna stay at home all the time. I did that. That was a while ago, and yeah. Other than that, not much has happened on this end.
Part of my personal life, and I can use this as a transition to the entertainment section, is I've been reading a lot more books, and I've been enjoying the rediscovery of books. I have, God fucking shit, my cats keep wanting to participate in the podcast.
New guests.
Yeah.
Meowcast.
Yeah, this is the motherfucker who was sneezing all along. But as I was saying, I've been rediscovering my joy of reading, and I've realized that my apartment is very small because I enjoy board games just as you do, and I do have my own shelf of board games, and then I have several shelves of books, and now I'm running out of space for all this shit. So I'm currently finishing. Have you ever heard of The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss?
Nope.
It's a book that came out somewhat recently. And it's been hailed as like, ooh, it's the new Lord of the Rings and all that shit. It's fantastic. It's pretty good. I feel like most of his praise comes in his writing because he's an author that writes really, really well. But the world itself is not as magical as I feel like Lord of the Rings is, nor as Game of Thrones is, nor even as Harry Potter is for all its problems. But it was an entertaining experience throughout. And I've realized that running out of books to read, I will probably start buying more on Kindle. And I'm going to start getting more of that. Because I never do that. I like the technology of reading on an iPad. But there's just something about touching the goddamn book that I'm just very much a traditionalist in that sense. And I'm going to be brave. And during Christmas, I'm probably going to buy and read my first ebook.
Ooh.
So that is the capitalization of my personal life.
I thought also the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, if there are people with recommendations for ebooks, shout out. I'm thinking of buying. There's this author / content creator on YouTube who's famous for doing video game reviews. He's called Yahtzee Croshaw. He does a lot of, I think, something called Zero Punctuation, and his big claim to fame is that he coined the term PC Master Race. He was the one who started that whole trend. And he released throughout his career, he's written a series of books that are all comedy based, and I really enjoy his brand of comedy. So I'm kind of, I want to support him a little bit further and buy one of his books. So that's probably going to be my next purchase.
I just wanted to mention regarding your shelf space issue. I'm not saying this is something you'd want, but there are book sharing websites. There is one called Book Crossing.
I would rather die than share books.
Okay, there you go. Okay, that's the end of that conversation.
You might as well tell me to share needles.
I have nothing else to say.
It was a good comment, to be honest, and I'm sure my girlfriend would appreciate that suggestion. But
I mean, if you want to learn how to read Russian, I do have an inheritance of Russian written and Ukrainian written books.
Those are different.
That I have no idea. I have no idea what to do with them, and I don't know how to get rid of them, and I don't want to throw them away.
Those brand of books are different. Those are very instructional books, so you can pick up and drop them, and you kind of move them around. Like, I feel like when they're talking about fantasy books or fiction books or even nonfiction books, you kind of want to hoard them. They're like, I don't even know, like children that you've had.
Collectibles.
Yeah, they're collectibles. They're decoration pieces. They are. For me, also as a writer, it helps to have these books at arm's reach, so I can pick up and skim through them, so I can see references, so I can see how those authors tackled certain problems. So they're like guides in some aspect, and just giving them away to other people, that sounds barbaric.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm trying to imagine like giving the games away. I mean, I can imagine it in the future, but not anytime soon. If I have shelf space, giving away would be. I mean, only if it's like a friends. I would not give it away to random people. I would probably do either sell them or do. There is a thing called on Board Game Geek. It's like math trade. And so it's a bunch of people who put out games that they want to get rid of and put up a games that they want to buy. And then there's I guess there's an algorithm that tries to manage them to match that. And then pretty much people only spend delivery fees pretty much, and maybe a little bit extra for the price difference of the games. So technically I wouldn't send the game to a person who sends me the game. I would send it to you, and then you would send it to your cat, and your cat would send it to your mother, and then your mother would send it to your uncle, and maybe your uncle would send one game to me or something like that. Yeah, so that's like a big trade. So I can imagine that happening if I have shelf issues. But for now, this is a very infancy state of board games for me.
What I am willing to do, I like for board games and that sort of community. Like if you're in a part of a closed community, sharing stuff like that is kind of cool. Like the thing you do with board games. For example, you got this from Board Game Geek, right? What was the name of the website?
Yeah. I bought it through that, yes. But
and that feels, even though it's a website with probably thousands of users, it somehow feels like a small community, like a niche community. So sharing between them, you kind of get this sense of, I don't know, again, community, I suppose. And what I am willing to do for my books, however, is to upgrade. Jesus. My house is very busy today. What I am willing to do is upgrade my books. For example, I have a series of books from George R. R. Martin, which are in Portuguese, and I've bought the most recent one in English, and the experience of reading is entirely different. So I'm considering selling all my Portuguese books or giving them away or whatever, and replacing them with a nice English set. And rereading all those thick novels again.
I'm just impressed how you have time to read like George R. R. Martin's books. That's a writer for you. He spends more time reading than writing because he has to. That's what editing is. There you go.
Also because George R. R. Martin he's good. He's really good at. Now he's good at world building. If there was someone that was the spiritual successor of Tolkien, it would be George R. R. Martin.
But still, man, I just get scared when I think I wanted at one point. Maybe I'll read the book, and then I look at them like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a big reader. So
that is true. Like it took me 2 tries to start reading Game of Thrones. This was back when Game of Thrones was an unknown entertainment franchise. So I picked up the first book and I started reading it. And I was like, oh, this is immediately it's relentless. It just gives you approximately 35 characters on the first chapter. You start like in the middle of a conflict, as you know in Game of Thrones. The story starts after during a moment of peace, after like the rebellion had succeeded. When the Mad King was killed,
Robert
Baratheon came to power. But the story kind of starts feeling like it's in the middle, like the rebellion happened somewhat recently because it's referenced a lot in the first chapters. Like, oh, what the? I feel like I missed the book. So it's really relentless, talking about the past. You're getting acquainted with the world, and there's 35,000 characters. So I needed to put the book down. I was like, okay, that's too much. And I gave it a second try, and after you did all the homework of studying for the book that you're reading, it is probably one of the best experiences I've had.
Okay, cool. Well, who knows? Maybe one day I'll be more inclined to read stuff, but not for now. Oh, by the way, just about book stuff, I guess this is personal life, but just remembered that apparently in Portimão there are like 2 Portuguese writers that write books in English, and one of them kind of sort of maybe tried to publish, and the other's like, nah, I wrote the book, and I went to the editors, but I'm not too happy about what I have. I have to edit it, but I'm too lazy. I'll just start writing the next book. And apparently there's a whole community of English writing by Portuguese writers in Portimão. There are 2. That's one more. There's 100% more than there is in Porto, as far as we know. As far as we know, maybe there are more.
Oh, for sure. You're never the only one doing something. There's probably just in my street 3 English writers writing fantasy.
Oh, well, you should get together and start a small community. Get them on the podcast.
Do you want to call out your friends there that wrote?
Oh, well, he was on our podcast, Eli.
Oh, Eli, yeah. But the other one,
he was on our podcast. Oh, the other one?
I guess he doesn't have anything published.
No, I mean, it's Andrés Segurado, but he doesn't have anything out yet. So, maybe this, if that name rings a bell to you and you want to bother him, go ahead and tell him, I want to read your book.
Yeah, get to editing. Yeah. Because I get that sensation of writing is infinitely more fun than editing. But it is somewhat jarring to hear that someone say, "Oh, I don't want to do editing. Fuck it. The thing I write first try, it's the best version of this book." That is madness to me.
No, he did not say that or even think that. He just didn't want to do it. He understands he has to edit, and that's why he kind of, but I don't like that. I don't want to do that. So, but I don't know. People are different, right? Everyone does their own. Maybe that's just a hobby mostly for him, and I don't know if he wants to make a living out of that. So,
true. I mean, if it's, I assume that he wants to, just put stories out there. I'm not trying to downplay his achievement of writing a book or finish or just writing in general, but going to if you went to an editor, if you went to a publisher and said, "Here's my book," and the publisher said, "You need to edit it," and he was like, "Fuck it." It means that like his thought process is somewhat unrealistic, because every book, like, and I'm saying this more for the audience out there that want to start writing books. Writing a book is probably 10% writing and 90% editing. You spend so much time revisiting it and making and upgrading it and making it more efficient and a more efficient read, that honestly you spend more time just rewriting the things you've already made than actually making up new stuff. And the idea of someone doing 10% of the work, which is a lot, by the way, writing a book is very hard, but doing 10% of the work and saying, "You want to publish this? Oh no, you need to change a few things. Fuck it," is absolutely maddening to me.
Yeah, but again, it's a different process, right? Actually, if your goal is to have a book for publishing, or if your goal is to have a creative venue where you just pour things out of your mind.
Yeah, there is a place for that. Like Martin the lawyer from the last podcast. He has a friend who I hope I'm not mispronouncing, because I this is a third hand account of what she actually does. Is a person who gives game pitches. So basically, she sells short form ideas of games, of short stories, or I assume. And that is pretty much what your friend probably would be amazing at. He would write a pitch. He doesn't need to edit it. He doesn't need to polish it. He doesn't need to think about covers and publishing rights and all that shit. He just writes a story and says, "Here you go. This is for your game." And writes another one. "Here you go. This is for your board game." And sort of selling out those contained stories. It'd be ideal for him, I'd suppose.
So when you say a pitch, is sort of if you're making a game, I give you a pitch and then you develop what you want on it, or
I'd say it's probably more complex than that. Again, I don't know. I spoke very superficially about this, but what I suppose is that a developer wants to create a game, but they have the mechanical side of the game, and so you come to fill in the blanks of what the story is.
You want to dress it up. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. It's just funny because when I thought about making games, I usually start with a little bit of the theme rather than mechanics. But I guess mechanics is the core of the game.
Sure, yeah.
And then the story is what gives it flair, so to speak. Yeah.
Sometimes it is a ping pong between the two. You can have the theme and then create the mechanics and then develop the rest of the story, or you can actually have a game mechanic that feels hack and slash, for example, like a Skyrim, and you feel, okay, this has a medieval fantasy vibe to it, so then you write a pitch about it, and then you develop the rest of the game following that pitch. I think the two go back and forth really well. At least they should, in an ideal partnership.
Well, of course. I mean, chess could be infused with a little bit of a story as well, if anybody wanted. I mean, technically, it's a game about, you have towers, kingdoms, kings, queens, and bishops and stuff. So it's like it's two kingdoms at war, but it's very much devoid of any theme. I am
shocked that there isn't a movie about chess. Not chess players, but chess. They turned chess into an actual movie where two kings hate each other, but the queens are the ones who do all the fighting, that sort of thing.
Well, there you go. We can have a short contest about that. Have people make a short story.
Please don't. I don't want to give Hollywood those ideas because that would be a horrible movie. But there are movies about Battleship and other board games.
Really?
Yeah, there are absolute shameless money grab ideas. But I'm shocked that they haven't done it for chess. I mean, God.
Well, Queen's Gambit was a good TV show, but as you said, it's not.
That
actually
is about chess players. There's a lot of movies about that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. That was good stuff. But yeah, I mean, by the way, it's The Witcher season 2 is out.
Yeah, I have not started watching it. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm a Witcher fan, but I'm low key not.
Low key not.
I have no interest of watching it, but I will. Eventually, I will.
Okay.
I've read the book, but at the same time, I don't have glowing reviews for it. I've played the games; they were not my favorite. I like the world. I like the setting. I like Witcher. I like more of it. I like knowing more of it. But I am always in no absolute hurry to pick up anything about it.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's fairly well made. I mean, other stuff that are. I mean, it's kind of. I used to just wait for things and then binge watch them. It's kind of sad to have to wait for 1 or 2 years for the next season to come out. That's why I haven't watched what is it? Everyone's hyped about it. The what do you call it?
The Squid Game.
The Korean thing. Squid Game. Yeah, Squid Game. I just because I don't want to. I don't know.
To be honest, I would watch just the first season, and unless the reviews are absolutely maddening for the second season, I would just quit it. Because Squid Game, it is a good show, but it does suffer a bit from that Hunger Games syndrome, which is the first book is about a bunch of people in this dystopian survival game. Okay, cool. That's a good premise. It's very enthralling. And then the second book is about a group of people in a dystopian. Jesus Christ! My whole house is against me today. The first book is about a dystopian nightmare and people trying to survive it. Okay, sure. And then the second book is about the people, again, in the same scenario, again. It's Hunger Games
Oh.
2, and I imagine Squid Games is probably they're going to be Squid Games, the squidening. They're going to repeat the formula, and those sort of
never stop, never stopping. Yeah,
and those sort of shows and movies, they don't repeating formula is awful because the premise gets completely destroyed, the uniqueness of it. So
I see.
So if Squid Games does that again, I will only watch it if people go absolutely batshit crazy over it, or if it changes dramatically.
Okay, well, I don't know much about Squid Game, but I can give at least TV shows that do have a continuation, like The Foundation is a pretty darn good show. I mean, so far it's one of the more interesting shows I've watched recently. Foundation is really good. Apparently, it's also all of these big TV shows are based on someone's writings. I mean, but the issue is like it was written like before our time. So Sev's story there are gonna be TV shows about Sev's story way long after he's dead.
Oh, for sure.
That is kind of sad.
Hopefully,
that is kind of sad. hopefully.
I'll jump off a bridge tomorrow if it hurries it up.
Isn't that's the common joke? Like when you get a lot of sales once you become a big hit and once you die. That's like the two moments when you get a lot of sales.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jackson is dead. Okay, let's play all his music.
To be honest,
day.
Michael Jackson, he made a lot of money when he was alive too.
Yeah,
he didn't suffer as an artist. Well, not true. That's not true at all. Never mind. Yeah, no,
he suffered in other ways.
His father was not a good man, and he was not a mentally adjusted man as well. But that aside, it does happen a lot where the children of the author or the estate of the author get that sweet kashing for all his hard work, while the author rots in a grave made out of styrofoam or whatever.
Well, if his descendants get something, I think that's fair enough.
Fuck them.
Well, okay, I don't have any descendants yet, so I don't know. I think that's a good thing. Is you left something out, and you didn't even get anything out of it, but somebody does, and it's actually at least I don't know, man. It's another topic. This is like a different topic, talking about meaning of life, pretty much. Yeah, getting into that.
Going back on entertainment, though, I spoke about books. You spoke about some series. Have you seen Dune?
I have not watched the movie yet.
Oh, God fucking shit. Dune is probably my contender for best movie of the year that I cannot recommend to anyone. It is... I mean, I'm a huge fan of Denis Villeneuve. It is an absolutely gorgeous movie. It is so well... You can see how well made it is. But I feel like the shortcomings of the movie comes in the fact that it's a part one. And it was not advertised as part of a trilogy. I never read Dune. I didn't know much about Dune. So throughout the whole campaign, the whole like the trailers and the teasers and all that stuff, it made it sound like he was going to put out a full story. And naive as I was, I didn't make the research realizing that there's like 50 books of Dune or whatever. So when I go to the movie, and immediately the first thing I see is Dune Part 1, I kind of cringed a bit. And for everything that Dune is really good at, it feels like it ends. It's a long movie, and it feels like it ends before it begins. Like just as the story's getting good, it goes like, "Oh well," and see you next year. And what the fuck just happened? Like,
right.
People compared it, and rightfully so, to the Lord of the Rings franchise, where the first movie of the Lord of the Rings goes through an arc before it ends. You know, you have the thing where the Mines of Moria, Gandalf gets lost. They feel the hurt of that, and then you have that scene in the woods where the Uruk-hai, which is not in the book, by the way, where the Uruk-hai ambush them. Boromir dies, and the Fellowship goes separately. So you have this catharsis of seeing the story progress. You have a climax. You have stakes for the next movie. You have a new character in Gollum that is briefly mentioned. All that shit is well done. You have a full movie there. I cannot say the same thing about Dune. Dune really, really feels like it goes, and then it stops. and you just all right, pick up your shit and put on your mask and get out of the cinema, and that is a bit of a crime. But if you know that coming in, probably, and you taper your expectations to that, the movie is absolutely gorgeous, and considering how complex Dune is famed to be, a lot of people say like, oh, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of spice trades, there's a lot of house and whatever. Denis Villeneuve does a really good way of synthesizing all that information and making it very digestible. And immediately I fell into the lore, I fell into the politics and into the conflict. It was enjoyable in that sense. But the fact that it ends so poorly, it makes me hard to recommend the movie.
Okay, well, I guess that goes down in my priority list then. It wasn't really high up there either because I'm also not very familiar with the world of Dune, but it looks pretty, and there's hype about it.
So pretty.
I was gonna watch it. It is pretty, but yeah, I guess we'll watch it someday. It will be there.
I was talking about movies. I think that's going to be the biggest movie of the year. Probably not in sales because I think Denis Villeneuve does not sell tickets. No, he makes the prettiest movies no one watches. But I do think it's the best movie, and I have not seen the new Spider-Man as of yet. By the time this podcast comes out, I'll probably have seen it twice or whatever, but because I'm a huge geek like that. But I have not seen it so far.
Yep, but anyway, unless you want to add something up, I guess we'll start wrapping things up a bit.
All right.
That's pretty much what has happened to us in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about our podcast, some personal life, and some random stuff we've been keeping ourselves entertained with.
Keeping ourselves busy.
Welcome 2022. May it be better than all the previous years before. And by the way, just want a quick note, not everything is bad because of COVID. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate actually working from home.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Not bothering with the commutes and all that bullshit.
It's not even because of the commute. I live relatively close to my work. I just prefer working with my own computer, with my own settings, with my own time and privacy than being in a workspace with a computer that is 20 years old. With people who are way too anxious and nervous all the time. They're journalists, and just constantly blabbering about stuff about like the weather or their children or taxes, all things that I don't rightfully care to hear about. So being at home with my cats, my girlfriend, and food and comfort and quiet and peace. Oh my mamma mia! I could do this for 1,000 years.
Forever? Yeah. So it is unfortunate that for some things to change, there has to be a total collapse of a certain system, and I guess in this case, COVID made that happen.
Oh my god! But now you're sending me that's a topic that I'm very passionate about, and I feel a rant bubbling up.
We'll save it for the next.
I'm going to try and summarize it because it needs to come out. I can't leave it like this. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be very quick about it. That the working from home aspect of work is perfect. It's not perfect, but it fixes a lot of problems that any company has. Personnel problems, equipment problems, space problems, and working from home fixes a lot of that, assuming that you have good internet, which in this modern age should be like a basic necessity in your household. And it angers me so much at this pivotal time in human history where we can see the potential and the gains from working at home. There are so people that use it for nefarious reasons, I suppose. They're at home and they use that opportunity to not work or to always be offline or to barely respond to people or emails or whatever, and that gives working at home a bad name and it discourages companies to bet on that revenue. And I'm so pissed each time I hear a story of someone who's an absolute dickhole at home. It just ruins for the rest of us what potentially could be the way going forward, working internationally, because I could work in Japan through this way of working at home. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, there's a whole other discussion there we could delve into maybe in the future. Let us know if you do care about that. Talking shit about working from home or working in office. That's a topic could be talked about. Is there a lot of creativity in it? There is if you're a creative worker. There you go.
There is a conversation to be had about that for sure. Like I feel like you're probably more productive in a workspace. In an actual workspace because you're more anxious, you have more anxiety, and that kind of drives you to do stuff, be it good or bad. So there's an argument for that for sure. I'm just saying that working at home has a lot of benefits that are being misused grossly. But now going to the call to action portion of the podcast. I kind of want to hear suggestions of what you guys most enjoyed this year, like best books you read, best movies you saw, best series you saw. Not the obvious ones. I don't want Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever the title is. The title of the Spider-Man movies. The title marketing thing is absolutely trash garbage. But I don't like No Way Home, Far From Home, and whatever home. Fuck that shit. I want to hear about good movies that few people see. And don't bring up Dune. I know no one saw that shit, but it's getting a sequel, so that's counted as a big movie. I want to hear about good movies. I want to hear about good books and good series besides Squid Game. I know everyone and their grandmas watch Squid Game. That doesn't count. And keep us informed.
Yeah. Next year, 2022, 2023, it's going to be also, we're going to use the same marketing strategy, but it's always going to be Artistry podcast, still at home. And anyway, that was a joke for myself. Only I laughed at that. Not even listeners did.
I chuckled.
Anyway, that's it for this year. 2021 is done. It's finished. Bye-bye. We'll see you later. It's just like, what's her name? Ariana Grande said, thank you next, right? So
I have no idea what you're talking about. I think you've gone...
No.
I think that you've gone... you have cabin fever.
No, there's a song called "Thank You Next" or something, where she talks about her ex-boyfriends and she thanks them.
Are you
an
oh really? You're Ariana Grande fanboy? You have a big life-size poster.
Just know that. I just thought it was interesting. By the way, I am getting sucked into the black hole that is K-pop to an extent, not all of it. I mean, I knew it was going to happen at some point eventually. But,
it's only a matter of time.
There's just like this one or two people. Like, why do you make such good music? And oh man, this is another rant, and we already talked about it. But I'm just impressed, by the budget of the bloody videos. It's like a 3-minute video, and the amount of money that is poured into that is amazing.
The cinematic
you can
universe
see it in the production value.
The cinematic universe alone is mamma mia.
No, just the you can see how much money they put into it, and like the amount of work they had for just a 3-second clip. It's maddening to me. It's like crazy, and I'm not. If I want to have a high quality product, is that what I have to do? Like spend 3 months making a 3-second clip? Oh my god, I'm gonna go crazy. Anyway, we're kind of stretching this out. Again, here we are, end of 2021. 22 is coming our way. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. Throw in some comments. We have the stuff in the description as usual. And yeah, that's it for me. Sev, anything you want to add?
Oh, I'm all good. See you guys next year. Or this year, as depending when this podcast comes out. I think it comes out in 2022. So, Happy New Year.
This year. Happy New Year. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the holidays. It's going to be out afterwards, pretty much. I'm Jay.
I'm Sev.
Artistry Podcast.
Signing off.